Hey everyone, and welcome to my channel. I'm Nikki, and today's video I'm sharing my Sunday reset with you guys. I've got some stuff planned. To be honest, I just lost most of my motivation because I just started getting really bad cramps, and I honestly just want to sit with my heating pad, but I've got everything out on the counter. I need to just get it done right now, and once I'm done, I'll be able to relax. Really quickly going through everything that I'm going to be prepping today. Whenever I do these Sunday resets, they just help me to get a little bit on track for the week, do a little bit of cleaning and organizing, which today I plan to actually go clean my basement gym and then also clean out the freezer. I did the fridge in my last reset. And then I prepped some ingredients that really help me to stay on track to build easy meals throughout the week. And today I'm gonna be doing a lot of things that'll really help me get set up. So first I'm gonna be making a veggie mix, which is pepper, onion, and zucchini that I just cook on the stove with a little bit of seasoning, and then I let it cool and I put it in a container in the fridge. I can add it to so many different meals, whether it's pasta, eggs, pizzas, even just into rice bowls. It's just a nice way for me to add vegetables to so many different meals. So that'll be really nice to have prepped in the fridge. It's 0 points, so it also does help to bulk up meals that way without adding points. I'm also going to be making some chicken burgers. So I've got 3 pounds of ground chicken here. I was debating taking 1 pound out and using it for a different recipe and just doing 2 pounds of chicken burgers, but I haven't decided yet, so I will when I get there. I'm going to be mixing this with an egg or 2 and then some panko breadcrumbs. And then I'm actually just gonna grill it outside. Sometimes I use my griddle, but it's pretty nice out today. And I've had this chicken marinating in the fridge for 2 days now, so I need to grill this. I had it in the freezer and I pulled it out to thaw, so then I wanted to make sure I got it in a marinade, and then I just haven't grilled since. So it's only a couple chicken breasts in there, but I will grill that up next to the chicken burgers while I have those going. I'm also going to be prepping some breakfast items, so some protein waffles. I just use this entire box from Aldi and I mix it with water and usually like an egg or 2 and a splash of vanilla. And then I'll use my waffle maker to make waffles, and it usually makes a really good amount. If it's too many, I can freeze them, but usually we go through them. And they just make a nice, quick and easy, higher protein breakfast option that I can pair with eggs, maybe add some fruit and chicken sausage or something. But also I'm going to be making a egg bake. I've got this dish here from IKEA that I'm just gonna be baking it in, but I just put everything in here so it's organized. I'm gonna be scrambling some eggs with hash browns, and the hash browns I like to use are these Simply potatoes. These are 0 points on Weight Watchers, and this is like half the bag here. So I'm just gonna mix that with some eggs. I'm also going to chop up a red bell pepper and then add in some mushrooms, as well as a little bit of cheese. So this is the Jarlsberg light Swiss cheese. I'm pretty much out of shredded cheese, which is what I would usually use. So I'm just gonna use that Jarlsberg and kind of rip it up and mix it together. Oh, I'm also gonna add some chicken sausage to the bake. I pulled some out already so they can soften up, so I can just cut them, mix them in, and then they'll heat up and bake in the oven when I bake the entire thing. But that'll be a nice, quick and easy breakfast option as well, especially if I pair them with the waffles. It's gonna be very low point. I just need to track the Jarlsberg and the sausages, and they'll be pretty spread out in there because it makes a really big portion. That's everything that I plan to do today. I hope it gives you guys a little motivation and also just shows you how I stay on track with everything. But if you enjoy this video or find it helpful, please go ahead and give it a like and subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate it. Hype it up if you have the option. That always helps. And let's go ahead and get started. And usually when I'm starting my Sunday reset, it's that time for some coffee. So I'm gonna go ahead and make my protein coffee really quickly. And then I think the order that I'm gonna do this in, because I try to plan it out so that it makes the most sense, but I think I'll get the veggie mix and all the veggies chopped for everything, get that cooking while I also make the egg bake, because that takes a little bit in the oven. And then I'll make the chicken burgers, take that outside and grill, and I'll just be running back and forth doing the waffles and the burgers and making sure everything gets done at once. If anything's still cooking, I can probably start cleaning out the freezer too. I try to plan it out in little segments like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and get my coffee started. Okay, so to make my coffee today, I've got my glass here with some ice. I just got these glasses on Amazon. I always say I'll link them and then I forget to link them in the description. So hopefully when I'm editing, I remember to actually add that link in the description. But I really like these glasses for the coffee. It fits it perfectly. I'm using a Quest salted caramel protein shake, which is 3 points on Weight Watchers, 170 calories and 30 grams of protein. So I just always pour that in first. And then for my coffee today, I'm using this Dunkin' Cold Brew Pumpkin Spice Concentrate. And I usually just top off the rest of my coffee. So I just pour that in there and then mix it together. And I usually like to let the ice melt a little bit. It kind of helps it because this is pretty sweet and I like it a little bit watered down, but there's my protein coffee. I'm gonna go ahead and get started making some ingredients. Before I start my Sunday reset, I like to wipe down the counter and then just get all of the ingredients out and sort them into piles for each recipe that I'm making. It's usually easiest to just chop all the vegetables for each thing first, so I'm dicing up the bell pepper for the egg scramble, and then I just put that to the side in the bowl that I'll be using. Every single time I go to prep a veggie mix, I forget to get out my veggie chopper, which does make it go a lot quicker, and it is sometimes nice when the vegetables are uniformly chopped. But today I just ended up using my cutting board and knife, and I diced up the bell pepper, the zucchini, and then today I decided to use a yellow onion. I had both yellow and red, and I really just like to switch it off between the two when it comes to veggie mix. I recently got new pots and pans from Caraway, and this is actually my first time using one for a veggie mix, but so far they have been so nice. I really have been careful about taking care of them and just making sure that I clean them properly. You're technically not supposed to use cooking spray in them, so I did use a little drizzle of olive oil in the pan before I added the veggies, but really they don't stick too bad. I keep it at a very low heat and just continue stirring them. Moving on to getting the chicken burgers made, I decided that I did want to put a little bit of the raw ground chicken aside for a different meal, so I ended up putting like 12 ounces, a little bit less than a pound, which means I have like 2.4 pounds here. And to the bowl of ground chicken, I just add some different seasonings, an egg, some panko breadcrumbs, and then I put on some food safe gloves and just mix it together using my hands. I also have a baking sheet ready that I just sprayed with some nonstick spray, and then once all the meat is combined with the other ingredients, I use my food scale to weigh out even portions. I do this by placing the bowl on the scale and then zeroing it out, and then I put the entire amount of meat on, find out how much that is, and divide it by how many burgers I want. The entire thing of meat came out to about 1,060 grams, so divided by 10, each burger came out to 106 grams, and I'm just weighing them out equally using my scale. I find it's easier to just weigh them all out first and then form them into patties, and if they are sticking too much, you can spray your hand with some nonstick spray. It helps a little bit to form the patties. And after they were all formed, I did decide to top them with just a little bit of extra seasoning. This is one of my favorite blends for burgers, and it's just one that I got at my local farmer's market. And it's nice that I can just have the veggie mix cooking while I continue to prep the other ingredients, so I just make sure to keep an eye on it and stir it frequently. Then moving on to getting the egg bake put together, I have a little bit more than half a bag of these shredded hash browns left, and sometimes they are a little bit liquidy, so I'll just use a paper towel to get some extra moisture out, but these ones weren't too bad. And I've already got the chopped up bell pepper in there, but I also rip up some mushrooms and mix those in. And then, like I said, I like to have everything prepared before I even start prepping it, so I pulled out 10 of these sausage links beforehand so they could thaw a little bit, which made them much easier to chop up. They're already pre-cooked, so I didn't want to cook them, add them to this, and then put it in the oven, so it's nice that they just thawed enough for me to chop up. Then I mix those together with some different seasonings and salt and pepper. And then it's time to mix in the eggs, and I just had 9 eggs left because I used 2 for the waffles that I'm going to be making and 1 for the chicken burgers. So 9 eggs was the perfect amount. I just cracked those and mixed them in with the potatoes. Usually I use shredded cheese for this, but I had these Jarlsberg slices that I needed to use up. It's just reduced fat Swiss cheese, and it actually worked perfectly to just chop them into smaller pieces and mix them in. And this is my favorite baking dish to use for these types of scrambles and bakes and stuff like this. So I just spray it with some nonstick spray and then make sure everything's fully combined before I pour it into there. I've had the oven preheating to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, so it's already ready when I have this egg mixture ready to pop in. And then I just bake it in intervals of 10 minutes until it's fully cooked throughout the middle. I always choose a different seasoning mix to add into my veggies, and today I'm using that same one that I used on the burgers at the end. It's just got such good flavor and saltiness, so I feel like it goes well with anything when I put it in the veggie mix. And then that's done, so I can put it aside to let it cool while I start grilling the chicken and chicken burgers. I had my grill preheating, so it was ready when I came outside to start cooking everything. And like I said, I wasn't even planning on making the grilled chicken this week, but I found it in the freezer and thawed it, so it worked out perfectly that I already had the grill fired up and ready to go. And I let everything cook for a little bit. I kind of run inside in between and get some things done in there, and then I'll run back out and flip everything over. But I just keep an eye on it until it's done, and then I'm ready to start the last thing, which is the waffles. I've always liked the Kodiak buttermilk protein pancake mix, but recently I found the Aldi mix is just as good if not better, and I'll just use an entire box of it when I make a batch of these. I'll have the recipe typed out at the end and in the description, but to this I add a little bit of fat-free milk, some eggs, vanilla, a little bit of coconut brown sugar, and water. And each waffle comes out to 2 points total on Weight Watchers, which is nice. I just mix this together. Sometimes I have to add a little bit of extra water to get it to the consistency I want, but once it's ready, my waffle iron is already heated up. I made some good progress on my protein coffee, but I continue to make the waffles by spraying it with some nonstick olive oil spray and then dividing it up into each section. I think it's easiest to use a scoop like this. For each section of waffle, I usually do 1.5 scoops, and I just make sure that it's full but not too far to the edges. Like I said, one of the best things about doing these Sunday resets is that I can multitask while I have some things cooking. So I've got the waffle iron right behind me, cooking them up while I start emptying out my freezer. I feel like our freezer really hasn't had much organization since we moved in, so I'm ready to get some sections actually sorted out. It makes it that much easier to keep it clean and organized when everything has a place. And to be honest, as I was taking everything out, first of all, I can't believe all of this fit in there, but also I was just feeling overwhelmed, like I didn't really know where to start and how to get it fully organized. So on the counter, I just started sorting everything out by category. I realized I had like 3 bags of open edamame, 2 bags of open falafel, so I was able to kind of condense those together and just, again, make it more organized. It definitely helped to have them sorted out into categories for when I started putting everything back in the freezer. And before I did put everything back, I wanted to make sure to just wipe it down a little. It really wasn't too messy. The fridge was definitely worse on the liners that I have in there, but it was nice to get it wiped down. And then it was time to just start bringing everything back. So I wanted to put my sweet treats like my Fruit Riot and chocolate covered bananas, True Fruit, stuff like that, all in the bottom drawer. So it's kind of out of sight, out of mind, but also it's still in there and organized. We had a bunch of different bags of chicken, so that got its own shelf. And then I figured the creamies fit best in the door, and I didn't even realize I actually had one made in the freezer, so I just stuck that there. Then I wanted to do a drawer with frozen veggies and one with frozen fruit, but once I started putting it in there, I realized it made more sense to put the frozen fruit in the door just because I use it almost every single day for my yogurt bowls. I still had some leftover breakfast cookies I prepped for my last reset, so I put those right at the top so they're easy to grab, and then I used the top drawer for more of like appetizers and stuff we don't use as often. And during the time I was doing this and flipping the waffles, the egg bake was also still in the oven, so I was just turning that around every 10 minutes or so, and then it was done and cooled off and I was able to cut it up. I ended up cutting the egg bake into 12 equal pieces. They came out to 1 point each. Then, like I said, the waffles are 2 point per waffle. The grilled chicken that I make is 0 points, and then usually I just track the chicken burgers as 0. Technically, there's panko breadcrumbs that would count as points, but it's such a little amount that I just don't even track it when I track them. Then the last thing on my list that I knew I needed to get done was cleaning up the gym in the basement. It's such an easy task to get it cleaned and straightened up, but it's something I just need to do more consistently. So first I was just putting things away and back in the spots that they go. I like to make sure I keep a thing of Clorox wipes down here to wipe down the benches, but it's nice to just give them a nice cleaning, and then also the Smith machine, the bar, stuff like that. But then the two things that get the dirtiest in this gym are definitely the mirrors on the wall and then just having to vacuum up the floor. It gets a little dusty, and when the dogs run around in it, it gets a little hairy. So I just make sure to get the mirrors cleaned, and I get questions about these a lot. I actually got them from IKEA and I love them so much. They really fit perfectly in here. They're the perfect size and always nice and easy to clean. I have noticed that the flooring is starting to bubble up a little bit under the mirrors, and I think it's just from the Smith machine and it kind of shifting, just being used more and more, so that's another thing that I'm going to worry about. But today my main focus was just getting it vacuumed and cleaned up in here. Okay, that wraps up everything that I wanted to get done today for my Sunday reset. I've got so many ingredients prepped, which really just makes such a difference for the week. Being able to put together quick and easy meals, especially having things like veggie mix and chicken burgers, they really can go with so many different types of meals, different flavors and everything. So it helps me to mix it up, but also stay on track with my 0-point foods and just getting a lot of fiber, protein, all of those things. I feel good that I got that ready, and also finished up cleaning out the freezer, fridge. I did the fridge a couple weeks ago, and I've been wanting to do the freezer, so felt good to get that done, and the gym cleaned up a little bit as well. I did also want to mention my step bet again really quickly. So in one of my more recent videos where I talked about how I'm starting up a new challenge, I also mentioned that I'm starting a step bet on October 26th. I'll put the link in the description if you're interested, but I kind of wanted to just describe what it is a little bit better. I didn't really go into enough detail in the last video where I talked about it. Pretty much what the step bet is you hook up however you track your steps. So me personally, I use my Fitbit Inspire, and I just got this off Amazon. I wanted to find the smallest thing that could track my steps, and I really love this thing. This tracks your steps. It syncs to my phone and then also to the stepbet app once you connect it to start the challenge. And once you do that, it takes your past, I think like 2 or 3 weeks into consideration of what steps you've gotten. So I kind of messed up because I really got a lot of steps the past couple weeks. I've just been really trying to enjoy the weather, and also from like pickleball, it kind of counts those sometimes, although we're not going to be able to play much now. So my goals are really high for my step bet. It's definitely going to be a challenge for me, but I am excited for it. How it works is that there's 5 weeks. The first week is a practice, and then the other 4 are the actual challenge. So it's just like a nice warm-up week that you get, making it 5 weeks total. But once the challenge starts, you have to get 4 active days and 2 power days, and then you get 1 off day or a rest day. And it gives you the goal, like I said, based on your past steps from the past couple weeks. So for me, my active days are around 16,000 steps, and my power days are like 19,500. Like I said, it is really going to be a challenge for me, but I am really excited, and I think it's going to be even more important as it gets colder and I struggle to have motivation to get my steps in. It'll really push me. If you don't get your steps on one of those days, it could count it as your rest day. I just really try to plan it out to make sure that I'm hitting my active days every day and kind of save that rest day. It just makes me feel better, but you can make it work however it fits with your schedule. Maybe if the first day of the challenge is usually like your rest off day from steps, you can make that your first day. Just make sure that the rest of the week you hit your 2 power days and your 4 active days. It's a lot of fun, like I said. I'll be posting in the app. When you join, you'll see that there's like a little community board where you can comment, you can make a post, and we'll just be connecting through there, challenging each other and helping each other get through the challenge, actually more so. So I'm glad that so many have joined already, and I hope to have more as well. It really is a lot of fun and something that I need right now to just challenge myself. Like I said, now I'm good and prepared with some ingredients and stuff and a little bit more organization, but that's gonna wrap up my Sunday reset. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it helpful. If you did, please go ahead and give it a like and subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.